Are you looking for a way to help your brick-and-mortar business drive more traffic and increase your sales? Look no further than the Receipt Paper Podcast. In this podcast, Joanne and Kyle provide their sage advice on how to make your brick-and-mortar store the hottest spot in town. Whether you're just launching a new business or trying to grow an existing one, these informative episodes will leave you inspired. In each episode, Joanne and Kyle take on a different topic related to running a successful business. They offer practical tips based on their own experience as owners of multiple brick-and-mortar locations. So whatever challenges you're facing, they have actionable advice for you. From finding a location and executing your build-out, to merchandising and customer experience, to sales and marketing, Joanne and Kyle have you covered. With helpful advice from these experienced entrepreneurs, you are sure to learn how to increase your sales and have your business running out of receipt paper in no time. Let's dive right in.
Well, hello, Andrei. Welcome to the Receipt Paper Podcast. I'm thrilled to have you on our podcast today. I think this is such an important topic, so thanks for joining in.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here with you today.
So before we dive into this exciting topic all about trademarks today, why don't we back up and just let you introduce yourself for our audience? I'm sure they'd love to get to know a little bit about you and your background and experience.
Sure. My name is Andrei Mincov. I'm the founder and CEO of Trademark Factory. We're the only firm in the world that offers trademark registration services with a guaranteed result for a guaranteed budget. I've been in the intellectual property law area for almost 30 years now. I started with my father back in Russia. You can probably still hear it in my accent. He was a famous Russian composer, and one day he caught a radio station that stole his music and turned that into an ad for Samsung. And I was attending my first law school back in the day, so he asked me if I could help him, and really the rest is history. So I had a long career in IP in Russia, did work for my dad. Obviously, he was my first and favorite client. And then, all the big names you can think of, like Microsoft, DreamWorks, J.K. Rowling, Apple, Facebook. And then in 2007, I realized that I had enough of Russia, and I moved to Canada, where I went to my second law school, did my second law school there. Wow. After I finished my law school, top of the class in half the courses and top 10 in the remaining ones, I was shocked that I got a grand total of 0 offers from Canadian law firms to join them. And that's how I discovered Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Rob Kiyosaki. And I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to go back to Russia. I don't want to go back to my, warm seat at the Russian law firm. I want to figure something out. And I certainly didn't want to go and become homeless. So I started my own firm, which at that time was just, the idea was I'm going to start my own intellectual property firm. Very quickly, I realized that my experience as a lawyer and me being able to build a successful business didn't have that much to do with one another. And so very quickly, I transitioned from just doing the legal work to being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. And so I niched it down into what we do now, which is only trademarks. We do nothing else. We don't do disputes. We don't do copyright. We don't do patent. All we do is we file trademarks. Most of the trademarks that we file are in US and Canada. And so 2 years ago, I personally moved out of Canada, had enough of that with its COVID restrictions. So now I live in Dubai, but the company operates internationally, and that's the story. So
very cool. Love it. So you have experience with a little bit all over the place and doing a little bit of everything, and you found your niche. I love that. I love it. So for those listening, I think we should start with just very basic, because some of us small business owners out there may not be familiar, but can you kind of, for us, share, what is a trademark?
Yeah, sure. Certainly not the sexiest thing about building a business. Hey, I need a trademark. So yeah. And so I totally understand why so many people don't really fully understand what they are. So what it is your legal right to prevent your competitor from using a similar branding item, whether it's a brand name, the name of the company, the name of the product, the name of the service, the logo, or the tagline to sell their products or services that are similar to yours, to compete. That's really what the function of a trademark is, and that's also the definition. And really, what I always say is that without a trademark, without a duly registered trademark, you don't really own a brand. You don't even have a brand, because what you've got is maybe a word, a phrase, or an image that you want to be your brand, but it doesn't become a brand until you can look at your competitor who's using something similar and tell them, stop this, this is mine, right? And that's what trademarks do.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's huge. I mean, for small business owners, I don't think it's something that we think about a lot until usually probably if you're in a situation where it's too late, you're like, oh, wait, that's my logo, right?
And for brick and mortar businesses, it's even more important because like you're building that place, you build all those signs, you get all those entries with Google Places, you do all that work to get people to know that it's you in this location. And if it so happens that you chose a name that you can't own, what are you going to do when you get that demand letter?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's such a good point. Like, have you even validated that somebody else hasn't already taken that before you came up with it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
So trademarks are kind of a two-sided sword in a way, because on the one side, you want to make sure that you're not stepping on somebody's feet, but you also want to make sure that you can go against others if they decide to copy you. So
Right. Right. Yeah. I see that it's so important. Yeah. So share, what are your thoughts on like, why is it so important? Why should those brick and mortar business owners that are listening to us now that are either aspiring or already open, why is it so important that they consider trademarking their business?
yeah. So what I always say is, first question you ask yourself when you're deciding, do I need it at all? Or like,
Yeah.
is this not something? The first question you ask yourself is, am I planning to still be around under this brand 2-3 years from now or more? Because it's a long process. It's not like a domain name when you search a name. If it's available, you pay $20, you've got it. Like in the US, it takes about 1.5 years for the process from start to finish. In Canada, it's like 4 years or more.
Yeah.
So if you're not planning to be around, if it's like, we're just going to open this for the summer, rent some place, sell some stuff, you probably don't need this. But if you are considering this to be a long-term deal, if you're successful, and nobody starts a business expecting it to fail. So assuming that you plan to be there, that's the first thing. The second question you ask yourself is, assuming I'm still around 2-3 years from now under this brand, is the brand playing any role in me becoming more successful? Right? People coming back to the same store, in people finding us online. Like, does the brand do anything for me? If the answer to the second question is, of course, that's why I came up with a brand, that's why I'm going to try to promote, then the answer is, yeah, you got to trademark that. And if the answer to that question, no, the brand is not going to do anything, then that's a good sign for you to go back to the drawing board and come up with a different brand. Something that's actually going to work for you, because the brand, you owning the brand, is not just about you being able to have some lawyers fight somebody in court. That's a big part of that. But not only that, there's at least few more reasons why this is important. The first one is, if you have a well-known brand and you want to sell this or franchise this, you can't franchise a business without owning the brand, because nobody's going to buy your franchise. Right? You can't license it. If you want to sell it, your valuation is going to be significantly lower if you don't own one of your most valuable assets. So that's another reason. Third reason is when you hire people to work for you. If you have a brand that's well established, it's a lot easier for you to attract better talent for less money, because everyone's going to want to have, the line with your brand on their resume, right? As opposed to you being a store that nobody's ever heard of, you're probably going to have to pay them a bit over market to attract them from, So all of that is why it's important. And if for brick and mortar stores specifically, again, you are investing money in either leasing the place, or buying the place, making all those signs, making all this signage inside. Like, there's a lot of investment that goes into it, and you having to redo it by being forced to rebrand is not just painful emotionally, it's also expensive. So
Yeah. I think that's so important to think about. Like, I just spoke with another guest who all about like selling your business, and that's such a big aspect of like, what do you even own, or what is even sellable, and like, a brand, a trademark, you have a brand that's sellable, but if you don't have that, like, what is? And so that's huge. Yeah, that's a big one. I love that. That's awesome. So it sounds like, this is quite a lengthy process. So what does the process of getting trademarked typically look like?
So I explained this in real simple terms. So that's what I'm going to do. There's kind of three big zones around brand ownership. There's the danger zone, which happens from the time you came up with a brand to the time that you filed your trademark application, right? Until your trademark application has entered the trademarks office system, it's a danger zone. Once it's filed, there's a lot of time that's going to pass by with them looking at your trademark application, saying yay or nay, maybe you having to respond to their office actions, do some legal back and forth. And that's what I call the protection zone, because once you file that trademark application, you're protected against anyone else who's going to file after you, right? And that process can take, like I said, some time. Once it registers, you're in the ownership zone, because that's when you own it. You get that piece of paper that says you're the owner of this brand, and that you're going to have for 10 years. And then you can renew them for like a few $100 every 10 years. Right? Trademarks are the only type of intellectual property that in theory can last forever. So Coca-Cola, for example, that's my favorite example. They've been renewing the same trademark they filed in 1892.
Wow.
Right? And they're probably going to be doing this for a few more years, right?
Yeah.
And incidentally, 1892 was the year when Coca-Cola was selling 9 drinks a day. Wow. I call it a lemonade stand with a dream, right?
Yeah.
They knew that if we are going to spend any time, any money, any effort trying to build this into something that sells more than 9 drinks a day, we got to own the brand. And now their brand is worth over $80 billion. Just the brand, not the factories, not the bottles, not the recipe, just the name and the logo, right? It's worth a lot of money. And so to go back to your process, to your question about the process, the first thing you want to do is you want to do the search that confirms that this is actually ownable. And while you can start with a simple knockout search, you can find a bunch of websites that do it. So if you find something identical, probably not a good idea to go with that. But then you want to have a proper comprehensive trademark search that's going to look at lookalikes, sound-alikes, synonyms, translations into other languages, added suffix. Like, there's a lot of things you want to check for, because unlike domain names, trademarks also look at similar stuff, right? Not just identical. And that's where a lot of people get burnt, because they're like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to add #1 at the end, or I'm just going to, misspell it, and, I'm going to be okay. No, you're not going to be okay. Because they'll allow you to file this trademark, but it will never be approved, right? So once you've done the search, then you draft the application, you file the application, then you wait. And after you've waited, somebody's at the trademarks office is going to look at it. And they're going to say, we love your application, or they're going to say, we hate your application. In 68% of the cases, your application is going to be rejected. If you file a trademark yourself without an attorney of record, that percentage goes up to 81%. So 4 out of 5 trademarks filed by non-represented applicants get rejected. And then you have to
Really?
find someone who's going to be fighting on your behalf to get the trademarks office to say yes. And then
Wow.
once they say, okay, now you convinced us it's good to go.
Mhm.
At that point in the US, it's just only 51.7%. So half of them die at this, to this.
Wow.
Once they say yes, then there's a short period of time when anyone out there in the world can raise their hand and say, please don't give this trademark to them. So somehow they need to find out that you filed this trademark, and it's almost like a lawsuit within the trademarks office system. We call it an atomic bomb that almost never goes off. It's called opposition proceedings. They happen in less than 1% of the cases, but if they do happen, they'll cost you tens of thousands of dollars if you get there. Assuming you survive the opposition period, your trademark gets allowed, you show the trademarks office, hey, we're actually selling these products, or we actually have the store, and in the store we actually sell the stuff that we said we are selling in that store. They're going to send you the registration certificate. That's how it works.
Wow. Yeah, I see so many avenues of why you need an expert there, for sure. That's very interesting about the filing on your own. So, definitely doesn't seem worthwhile there to even go down that path, right?
And the biggest problem is not just the money that you're going to spend, like on government fees, or if you use some of those, cheap fake services like, hey, we're going to file your trademark for $69, right?
Yeah.
It's not just that you're going to lose all that money. That's
Yeah.
okay. I mean, it's not fun, but it's something that you can easily survive. The bigger problem is the time that you're going to waste, because
Yeah.
you only find out that you filed an improper trademark application maybe a year, and then they're going to dress it up as, oh, you know what? Don't worry, we're going to deal with that. Just give us a little bit more money. We're going to fight on your behalf.
Yeah.
And they will fight on your behalf, and you will spend more and more money. And then one day they're like, yeah, we tried. We got an idiot in the trademarks office. I'm sorry. And that's when you realize you've just wasted like $5,000-$10,000. You wasted
Wow.
2 years of your life, and you got nothing to show for it. So, and really, that's seeing all these horror stories is the reason I came up with the idea of Trademark Factory, because I knew that brand owners, they're not supposed to know all these details.
No.
And if we have a brand owner who genuinely says, hey, I want to do the right thing, I want to trademark my brand, I want to do, they have the right to not be taken advantage of. And to them, trademarking process is binary. Like, you either get it or you don't. You don't care how difficult it was. You don't care how complicated it is. Like, I paid you the money, get this done, right? And I'm like, can we do this with trademarking services? And that's exactly what we did. So you pay one fee, we do the whole thing, and if we don't give you the results, you get all your money back. We're the only ones who do this. So for brick and mortar stores, what you want to do is you want to file your trademark in your home country first. And then if you have plans to expand to other countries, also consider getting a trademark there. I don't know how many of you are planning this, global, international expansion, but you would start with your home country. And the beauty of trademarks is that they're federal. So once you trademark your brand in, let's say, in US, let's say you have a store in, I don't know, Los Angeles, right? Once you've trademarked your brand, you can't prevent anyone in New York from opening the store with the same name, from, in Texas, anywhere. And that's the beauty of a trademark, because without it, it's perfectly legal for someone to see the name of your store and say, oh, I like that. And they open the store wherever they want to open their store. And here's actually another reason why to do it, because guess what? Let's pretend that someone's got a brick and mortar location that copies your name. And let's say they offer horrible service, right? They sell junk. They provide awful customer service. They're probably going to have a Google Places page, and people are going to be leaving reviews, bad reviews about them, but people are going to be thinking, people are going to be leaving reviews about you thinking that they're leaving a review about them. So, and fighting this is extremely difficult without a trademark. So you want to make sure that there's no confusion on the national level. So.
Yeah. Oh, that would be my worst nightmare if that happened. So, yeah, I mean, that's something I definitely have never even thought of. That's huge. So, for every country, you would have to get a trademark, but once you get in that country, you're good to go. So, I think for most people that are in the US, they might be wanting to expand to a different state or something. They would be good just to get a US based trademark.
Yeah, it's just one single U.S. trademark, and you file for the name or the logo. Or if you need to, if you want to protect both, you need two separate trademarks, one for the name, one for the logo, which
Gotcha.
is also a good idea because as you expand, as you grow, the logo becomes super important. Like I will never forget. So I have 3 kids, right? And as they were growing up, we would drive somewhere, and one of the first things these kids learn to say and recognize are the names of the stores, right? You drive and
Yeah.
oh, that's McDonald's, that's IKEA, that's the, like how do you, like you can barely speak, but you already recognize those.
Yes.
Like it's crazy, but that's exactly the power of the brand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, try to find any of those successful stores that isn't trademarked. They all are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you've made so many great points. Like, I mean, we just rebranded our business this past year, and I mean, it was so costly. Like, I would thought it was just going to be an easy thing. Okay, we're just going to redecorate a little bit and get a new logo, but no, I mean, it's like $10,000 on the signage and the windows, and then all these things you have to update. So yeah, I mean, that's huge. And if you're going to invest in that, you want to protect that investment and go get a trademark, right?
Yeah, there's this great movie about McDonald's, The Founder, and I don't know if you've seen it. If not, make sure you watch it. It's a great movie. And there's a scene there where the brothers, McDonald's brothers, receive a letter uh, from Ray Kroc's attorneys that says that he now owns intellectual property to the name.
Oh,
And
wow.
they read that, and then they show the 2 brothers standing and watching how the workers on the roof dismantle the McDonald's sign. And they used to basically say $15 McDonald's burgers or something. And then you remove McDonald's, it just becomes a not $15, 15-cent McDonald's burgers. And they remove McDonald's from it, and it just says 15-cent burgers. It just becomes a nameless.
Wow.
It's so sad to watch this. Like every time I see this, I'm like, imagine how this must feel.
Yeah.
And so in addition to paying someone to put something in instead of that and repaint and all that, it's heartbreaking. It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah, it's huge.
Don't let yourself in that situation.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love it. So, Andre, for those listening, I think, hopefully they see the value of a trademark at this point. If they want to, you know, go search out there if, their business is trademarkable and work with someone, how can they work with you on that?
So yeah, with us, it's really simple. You go to trademarkfactory.com, and there's the big button that says request a free call with a strategy advisor. And really that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a free call with a strategy advisor, and their role is not to sell you something you don't need. Their role is to really understand where you're coming from, what you're trying to build, and help you prioritize what you need right now, what you may need later, and what you shouldn't be worrying about at all, right? And of course, they're going to explain how we work, the idea of the flat fee, the money back guarantee, all of that they're going to share with you. And if you feel that there's a good fit, they'll help you get started. And if you mentioned that you came from this podcast, I'll be able to actually do a little bit of they're going to be able to sweeten the deal for you. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Compared to like the prices we got on the public website. Just like I said, mention you came from here, and they'll do you a little bit better. So that's one way to do it. The other way Well, the other way to get to know us and get some value out of me, I guess, is so we have a YouTube channel. I've posted over 1,000 videos there, or close to 1,000 videos. I don't know exactly when the 1,000th video is going to be. It may have already been posted, maybe not. But if you have a question about trademarks, anything at all, I've probably answered this more than once. So, go to YouTube, search for Trademark Factory, and you'll see all of our videos. So that's another way to learn more about trademarks, learn more about Trademark Factory. And again, when you're ready, go to Trademark Factory. First thing we're going to do once you become a client, we're going to do that comprehensive search to confirm that the name you came up with is even doable. And if the answer to that is no, then of course you can get a full refund and basically get a free consultation why, we think you have a problem with that brand. But what most people do is they go back to the drawing board, they come up with a new name, they run it through us, we confirm whether it's doable, and they can do it unlimited amount of time until they pick a brand that they love, and then we tell them it's doable. Right. And again, as painful as it is to hear that, hey, you came up with a brand that cannot be trademarked, it's so much better to learn this sooner rather than later. Yeah. Because the less you've been in business under this brand, the less your exposure, the cheaper it's going to be to change all that. So that's what I'm suggesting you do. Again, Trademark Factory.
Love it. That's great. Phenomenal. I will definitely be putting links to all of this in the show notes. So go check out Andrei on YouTube. I love a good deal. So definitely take him up on that. Mention the Receipt Paper podcast when you guys set up that free call. I think it's totally worth going to have a conversation with Andrei and his team and, see what you need to do out there to protect your business. It's a very important topic. So appreciate your expertise today, Andrei. And, I love the tips you provided us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Receipt Paper Podcast, your go-to source of information for starting and growing a successful brick-and-mortar business. Subscribe to hear future episodes and share this content so that more people can access these valuable insights. If you're looking for more resources to help you with your brick-and-mortar business, visit masterbrickandmortar.com or follow us on Instagram at masterbrickandmortar. Thanks again for listening to the Receipt Paper Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.